Hello guys, message in the bottle here. I was kind of very hesitant to make this video because this is basically a personal story time telling video about my personal life. But as I stated throughout my YouTube channel and my previous videos, I'm gonna try my best to make it um, anonymous as possible. And anybody that I include in this video, they're also anonymous, but I will give them fake names in order to you know, make the story sense. Like, I hope the story itself makes sense to you guys and not confuse a lot of people. And Ramona's is a Mexican company that produce a lot of food, and it was my very first job straight out of high school. I was 17 years old at the time, and I was applying everywhere, especially close to my home, because I didn't have a car at the time, so I figured that I should start applying anywhere around the facility or vicinity. Sorry, tongue twisted there. Uh, Whatever's close by to my home, and hopefully I could just walk at the work and eventually get a car. And sadly, that did not happen um, because of bad economy. I did not manage to get a job close at home, but I did manage to get a job at this place, Ramona's, at one of their factories. I won't say where, but it was one of their factories. And I'll never forget the experience because it baffles me that I managed to work there at the time when they were firing a lot of people. And it made me realize how, looking back at it, it made me realize how F up the situation is when you're very lucky. Like, I feel like this is pure luck. Pure luck that I managed to work there at the time where they were firing a lot of lower class workers. And the upper management, they were basically living there like kings. That's the best way I could put it. And the reason why I say that is because one of the things that stood out to me was the amount of workers that were working their ass off in the factories. Like, they were trying their best to keep their job, and that was very telling. But at the same time, I saw a bunch of managers just staring at them, looking around, and seeing what could they do to minimize employees and maximizing production, while basically see what they could do to increase profits. And because the upper management were just standing there looking around, and I'll never forget that one of them was kind of being a jerk. I clearly remember I was doing my job and the guy was in the way, and I asked him, "Excuse me, can you move for a sec? Because I need to go through where you're standing." And the guy, he just smiles and continues standing there. And me, I like, okay, I'll just go around him and, just leave it there. I clearly remember that in the factory floor, there's like this square designated area for items, and the guy was standing right there at the designated area, and he's from the upper management. And like I said, he was being a jerk. He just don't want to move, so I purposely put the item outside of the designated area because he just didn't want to move. And me being a quote unquote lower class worker, like, I was just there cleaning. That's basically what my job was, cleaning, being the janitor of that factory. And like I said, it was my very first ever job, and I had every intention to continue working there. But the upper manager and the middle managers, they were being assholes. And when I saw the company going downhill, I just knew I needed to start applying to another job. I didn't enjoy the paycheck. I will not forget. I didn't enjoy the paycheck, but I need to learn how to conserve money, which sadly that's an ongoing thing. I currently, well, I'm not struggling financially, but I'm trying my best to financially secure myself, if that makes any sense. Like right now, I'm not financial trouble. I just need to have a financial plan and stick with it and secure myself financially. And right now, I do not have financial freedom. That's the best way I could put it. If I did have financial freedom, I'll have way more option. I'll live a much more happier life. But anyway, back to the subject of the video. Um, yeah, and I'll never forget the fact that the upper managements were being jerks. I'm trying to avoid curse words here, but yeah, they were definitely being jerks. And the saddest thing is that many of these workers, factory workers at Ramona's, they were immigrants. They were clearly not from this country. They were immigrants, more specifically Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Salvador, and some of them even from Costa Rica and Panama. But anyway, what was really sad is after like 2 months of working there, I saw that the upper management finally put the hammer down and they fired over 50 workers. And I'll never forget when I first arrived there, the factory for the first time, what I was witnessing, it was completely empty. It's usually empty on a Sunday, I think, if I recall. Because I know there was a one day where the factory just stops and, there's like this inventory check or like this massive day off thing for the factory workers. But one time around Wednesday or maybe Monday, I think, it was completely like less workers. And me, I noticed it. It was dramatically noticeable. And me, I was like, where is everybody? I noticed there's like a lot less workers now. And one of the guys that works with me, he literally told me out loud, oh, they just fired over 50 workers. And I was baffled when I heard that. And the only workers that stayed there were essentially the veteran workers. I remember seeing this very old lady that's like hunched over. And this old lady, she managed to keep her job. I think the upper management, they feel sorry for her, but at the same time, she probably must have worked there for years on end. So because of that, yeah, she managed to keep her job because of her veteran status. But I literally saw a lot of companies, well, not companies, a lot of workers getting fired, and not to mention, not just the workers that works at the factory, but also the truck drivers. I seen them getting fired too. And what's even sadder is that I heard stories about the upper management getting lawsuits, especially the owner of the company. He got sued for sexual harassment and was accused of it. I'm not sure if the sexual harassment thing was true or the guy got cocky and decided to flirt with girls. Because at that point, from my perspective, I was just working there. But me, I did hear stuff, and this is why looking back at it, I realized the value of don't shit where you eat, but most importantly, don't get too involved at work and other people's life at work. In other words, keep your work life and personal life separate and try your best to socialize outside of work. Like, if you guys gonna be social at work, keep it at work, if that makes any sense. Don't hang out with your coworkers outside of work, because it might make the work environment complicated once drama ensues. Yeah, it's gonna be even more complicated, and trust me, it's not gonna end well. That's why I learned a very hard lesson: keep your work life and your personal life separate. But anyway, on to the topic of the video. So seeing all that, and most importantly, I'll never forget my first ever boss. My first boss, he was also a jerk. He was like, I'll admit, I was scared of him because in my first job, being nervous and never had a job before, straight out of high school, 17 years old, I was like very determined to keep the job, but at the same time, this guy, he was a jerk for no reason, and he tried to act intimidating for some reason. Looking back at it, I kind of find it funny now. And one thing that I did not like is him not communicating with me what should I do, because first of all, he's the boss, and my first time going there, I didn't understand the rules, like how things goes, how things works. To give you a good example, and I'll never forget this because this was like the perfect example of what I'm talking about. One time he took me to the side and made me go work at the laundry area where they do some laundries for clothing for the factory workers over there. And that was like unusual. Like, I've been working there for like 2 months at that point. I never went to the laundry section and, did some basically clothing cleaning and putting away the clothing once it's done. I never did that before, and because that was unusual to me, I was confused when I went there. I was confused, where to put the clothes once it's finished. And I just copycat my fellow coworkers that was been working there for years already. And what's funny is that as I was copycatting my fellow co-workers that was been there for years, my boss just stared at me, did not say anything, and he knows. I have a feeling he knows, and he didn't give a crap. He didn't care that that was my first time, working with the laundry, so he didn't like give a crap of telling me how things goes. So as he was just staring at me, he said out loud, "Ah, dude, you're about to make me mad." And me, I'm like confused. I'm like, I'm trying my best here. Like, I'm trying my best to, to get the job done, and at the same time, I'm clueless. Like, I don't know where you guys put the clothes, so I'm just copycatting where my fellow coworkers that been here longer than I have, where to, do the laundry. And this guy continue like looks at me in silence, and everyone they notice like he's being a jerk to me for no freaking reason. And most importantly, he's not explaining himself. So because of that, because of all these variables that was happening at Ramona's, I decided to continue looking other work in my spare time. And funny enough, I eventually did. And I feel like God was with me at this time because, well, I had to thank God all the time. Eventually, I did found work at the local airport, and they pay a lot more, and they provide free food. And unlike Ramona's, I didn't have a jerk boss. So as I was transitioning to my new job, funny enough, they laid me off. They basically told me, "Hey, we don't longer need you." And me, I was like, "Cool, sweet." And I honestly didn't care at that time because I was set in stone. Like, I was ready to transition. As a matter of fact, I was ready to quit this job and transition to the new job. So I was very happy that everything was set in stone. Everything fell into place, and then look back. And funny enough, about a couple of months later, they called me again asking if I want to work back there again. And I had to be very honest when they did call me. I was like, no, I don't. I do not want to work back there. Especially the fact that the boss was being a jerk and not giving me clear instructions of what to do in my first time getting there. Like, after a month or so, like doing everything, what I'm supposed to do, like my routine work, I knew what to do. Basically, I knew what to do, but the boss, he wasn't good boss, and I could tell that some of the coworkers, they hate him because of that. And Ramona's was going downhill. They were firing workers left and right, and the upper management, they were just being jerks. And I feel sorry for the desperate people that needed a job, especially the desperate immigrants. So I was kind of grateful to find another job, and the other job was way better than this job. And the whole point of this video is basically a personal story video. Yeah, so that was my experience, Ramona's. And looking back at it, guys, I hope the lessons here is this: keep your work life and your personal life separate. And if you do not like your job, go find another one. Trust me, I've been there. And as I stated in my story, I managed to find another job that paid me more, treated me better, and my boss wasn't an asshole, so that was a plus for me. And they gave me free food at the airport, so as I was ready to quit this job, they laid me off, which was perfect timing. And yeah, all I gotta say, guys, is just look for other opportunities. Keep your opportunities open. Like, don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for place yourself in a position where you know you're gonna have opportunities in case one fail. In case of your plan A fails, have a plan B, plan C, and plan D. That's all I gotta say, guys, and I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and have a good day. Goodbye.